Hi, and welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. I'm David A. Fields, and I'm joined by my colleague, Carol Williams. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning, David.
And for all of you who are used to being with us, and for those of you who aren't, the format here is really simple. You ask questions, you try to stump Carol, or me, I suppose, and we give you answers that will help you build a rewarding, lucrative, successful consulting practice. So, good morning, John. Do what John did. Type your name or say hello in the chat and also ask your questions because you guys have been giving great questions. I think we managed to get to all of them last week, but Jaron will let us know if we didn't. And with that, maybe we'll dive in. So, Jaron, we have any in the bag, and Carol, you can read it, and I'll take whatever it is.
That sounds great. All right. We have Josh who has submitted our first question. And hi, Tom. How do I continue BD efforts elsewhere while being hands-on with delivery? I have to be hands-on because my team is new. I guess where I'm looking for guidance is how do I generate space and time to carry on looking at other clients when I'm already so busy?
Yeah.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a great question, and I'm sure other folks who are watching either live or in replay are going to be going, "Yeah, that's me. How do I do that?" Because it's really common. So I'll give you a philosophical sort of approach, a thought, an idea, and then some practical thoughts. And then Carol, you weigh in also. Philosophically, what we tell all of our clients is to treat new bizco, business development, as a client. Because over the course of your consulting career, the course of your firm's life, new bizco will generate more revenue for you than any other client. So treat it like a client, which means you show up when you say you're going to show up, you deliver what you say you're going to deliver, just like you would with any other client. Okay, so that philosophically, that's an idea. You have to treat it like a client because it is a client. And if you don't treat it well, it will not reward you with projects. Practically, here's what we typically suggest. No matter how busy you are with client work, you should be able to carve out 2 hours a week, 120 minutes, and dedicate that to business development. And this is a suggestion for how you might divide that up. 30 minutes is reaching out, is sending out some 111 messages, and that's what keeps your pipeline going, right? That's what feeds the top of the pipe or the very left side of the pipe. And then the remainder can be allocated to new business conversations that your 111 messages are generating. So that's it. In 2 hours, you'll be doing outreach, you'll be talking with folks. Some of them may turn into new business. And if you have a question of, well, then how can I handle that new business? That's separate. We'll deal with that separately. For most folks, what we find is that 2 hours can, if you don't protect it, can kind of get violated. And so you just need some discipline, some rituals or help. Carol, Jaron keeps me honest. Jaron, who's putting up the words here, the questions. Once we're done with this, actually it being Monday, we have a BD call, and Jaron says, "Here's what you need to do," and make sure that I actually do it. Same thing for you. I'd recommend don't depend on yourself to get it done. Walk the dog, what we call walking the dog backwards. Have someone actually make sure you do it. So those are some initial thoughts. Carol, agree, disagree, want to add on?
150% agree, David. And I will say that I know that from experience as well. Having someone hold you accountable, that walking the dog backwards is critical because there's always something that I need to do. And having someone where they are expecting you to show up for a BD call internally to get the work done always helps. So keeping that in mind, one of the other critical parts of BD is also writing context documents and writing proposals. Putting that time on your calendar is also very important and protecting it. So please make sure that you're doing that as well. Otherwise, those proposals don't get turned around timely and you lose those opportunities.
Yeah, that's really fair. That's a good point. And that can be part of your 120 minutes. also, is if you have live opportunities, then maybe you keep the number of conversations down, you still do your outreach, but as Carol said, you also write proposals, you get context docs out the door. Excellent.
Sorry.
Carol, looks like something came in. Can you see the
Yeah,
comment?
absolutely. So, yes, John, that is correct. Accountability partner.
Exactly right.
But walking the dog backwards has such
Well, there's a whole
interesting
story behind
content.
that. Another time we'll do that story.
So John did ask, what notice do you recommend on client reports for how you use AI?
What notice? Do you mean how should you notify your clients that you're using AI? Is that, Carol? Do you think that's what John? Is that what your question is?
That's
Do you
how
rec-
I'm reading that.
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Carol.
I was going to say, why don't we answer it in that way? And then, John, if we're going down the wrong path, let us know.
So I think you need to let your clients know if you're using AI in any kind of unprotected way, or if your clients particularly ask, are you're other than that, first of all, if you're going to use AI, make sure you're using a system, you have an account that allows you to protect their data and consider blinding data. There's all sorts of governance principles around how you use AI. I don't think you actually need to necessarily share any more than you would share the intricacies of how you do all your analysis and who gets used in your analytical team and all of that. And in terms of the writing, yeah, so I don't think you need to actually do notification. Carol, do you disagree with that one?
I do not. I would say basically as a disclosure, right, to your clients, that is not necessary.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary either. I don't think you need a comment at the bottom of the reports. I'm not sure what that's doing for you. They don't need to know after the fact that you used AI. What would be the point? If they have an objection to you using AI, then that needs to be addressed early on, John, which means you should be clearing that up front and making sure they are okay on you using AI. I have an account and don't share anything that's client specific. Well, then I think you're okay.
So then, John, to the other comment that you made about the IMC requires that you notify them when and how you use it. That should be an earlier conversation, doesn't need to be in the actual report. That can be part of the context and proposal conversation.
And are you saying the IMC, the Institute for Management Consultants, is requiring that you notify your clients? That's part of having their certification, and if so, that's fine. I don't agree. I don't think you need to let your clients know every piece of how you are processing and doing your approach. However, you do have to be very clear about when data is exposed, and that might be the risk there. So, but if you are taking protections, you have protections in place around the data. I don't agree with the IMC on that one.
Suzanne commented that everyone should assume everyone is using AI at this point, right?
I think that's pretty much reasonable. I think it'd be, why would you work with a consultant that's not using AI? I mean, it's kind of silly. It'd be saying, we're only going to work with folks that use slide rules still. And how many of you know how to use a slide rule? Okay. Tom, also AI fair use philosophy. Okay, for validating or assessing your idea is not okay using to develop full-scale solutions without your direct thinking or involvement. Well, yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think AI is that good. I wouldn't trust it to develop a full-scale solution anyway. It's not that good. It's pretty good. It gets you to 85%, but if you're not adding your own thinking on top of it, you're developing something that's probably not that great and is necessarily generic by virtue of the fact it is a word prediction device. It is using the common denominator. And Dan, okay, the IMC is lodging, or the CMC Global. Great, good for them. So that's if you want to follow that, that's totally on you. So, all right, those are all good. You can keep those questions coming. And agree with you, Tom. Jaron, did we have any more that were submitted? All right, Carol, I'll read this for you.
Okay.
I was going to do a 3-month follow-up with a guy I know, and all I could find in the news about the company was that they had a notably terrible earnings report this week. Is that a bad time to reach out? Or is it somehow the perfect time to reach out in some unexpected right side up kind of way? And is it a bad idea to have, wow, I saw your earnings report, ouch, be the anecdote I bring up in my 111 email? Will, this is excellent. All right, Carol, what do you think?
Does this go into the try to stump Carol column?
Yeah, you bet. What do you think? Reach out.
Okay.
Reach out.
I will say that it is never a bad time to reach out. So regardless of what's going on within the company, remember it's about the person that you're connecting with. So never a bad time. And then in your 111 email, remember that it's you want to ask a quick question to the person that's receiving it about them. So you can definitely acknowledge it's been a while, saw the earnings report. Were you on the call? Were you on that call? Or did it directly impact you? Either one of those quick questions that instantaneously they can respond back, because that's the whole point of the 111. David, what do you think? Anything to add?
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I think you're, we obviously have come from the same philosophy, which is it's always a good time to reach out.
That's right.
And waiting for that perfect moment is really a procrastination technique. It's a way to not reach out. And when something bad happens, yeah, I think as long as you're sympathetic about it or empathetic about it, one of those things, you're thetic about it, then you're probably you're fine. Yeah, I like the questions you have. Were you on the earnings report? I think that's a good one, Carol. Did it affect you? That's a good one. So yeah, don't let it dissuade you from working out. I agree.
Awesome.
All right. Anything else from the group? And if you guys disagree or that's confusing to you, let us know. All right. Any others, Jaron? Are we done early? Look at that.
I'm going to try to stump David this time. All right. So I come from a corporate background, and it seems like consulting is very relationship driven. Yeah. Doesn't that need to be done in person? And how well can virtual relationships work? Sam, this is a great question.
It is a great question. Though it strikes me as funny. So the how well can virtual relationships work? The only reason it strikes me as funny right now is there's all this stuff in the news right now about people having relationships, unhealthy relationships with AI. Now that we're talking about AI. So can relationships be built that are digital? Apparently so. And people meet their spouses online and build relationships. And then, so you can do a lot of relationship building virtually. And so I guess that's the fundamental answer to your question. In-person has advantages, of course. And what's ironic is literally just before the episode started here, I was looking at a note from one of our clients in England who regularly sells multi-million-dollar deals. Okay, this is someone who we were talking last week and sold an $8 million deal. And he is a huge believer in in-person conversations. And you're right, it is hard to sell a $5 million, $7 million, $8 million deal based purely on a digital relationship. Though we have sold millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of consulting work, having never met clients in person. So I don't think it's a requirement. It's helpful. There's nothing that beats being in person. Also it depends a little bit on the kind of client you're working with, on the kind of work you do. So no, consulting doesn't need to be done in person. So, and oh, look, there's some notes. People make great relationships digitally.
Hey, Ann. Hey, Jesse.
So no, you don't need to be in person. And thank you, Ann and Jesse, for confirming that. And with that, oh my gosh, we've hit our 15 minutes already. Thank you for spending them with Carol and with me. Some of you who are newer here may wonder what we're talking about when we say right side up, or when people are writing about right side up or anything like that. So if that is the case, I'm going to recommend you read the book. Jaron, can you put the book? Just cover me with the book. Look, there you are. Just read that book. There is a reason it is the best-selling, highest-rated book in the category. So that is going to help you enormously, and you'll understand what we're talking about with right side up and all of these sorts of terms. So go do that. Also, by the way, if you don't have davidafills.com/Monday Live, thank you, Jaron, for putting it there, on your calendar, just put it in your calendar so you come back and join us. And you can ask questions and make comments and stump us with what the IMC has put out recently. Just come and join us every Monday. And with that, thank you so much for being here with us. Have a fabulous 2 weeks, because we're going to be away next week. Remember, consulting is about them. It's about your clients. It's about your prospects. So just give them kindness and give them value. And because a lot of people are taking an extra long weekend this coming week in the United States, we'll be off next week, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks all. It's good to see you.